Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Pandaria Beta. My name is Daesvail, and I'm here to show you the basic monk moves that every monk will have, disregarding talents and disregarding specializations. Just the basic moves. First, I'll go over the passive abilities that any monk will have. Fighting style will make the monk's jab ability change depending on the weapon that it's wearing. As you can see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, jab is currently being displayed. Since I have a fist weapon on, it's just jab. I'll jab the target and I'll deal X amount of damage, generate 2 chi because I'm in the stance of the white tiger. Now, the resource cost and the damage will stay the same. But since I just put on a polearm, now it's called I pike a target. It's still called jab. It used to be different where it would change the name of it, but now it's just jab and the wording of the tooltip will change. So you'll pike a target, you'll club the target with a mace, you'll clobber the target with your staff, etc, etc, depending on what you have equipped. Also, for reference, the weapon skills that monks are able to use are polearms, staves, axes, fist weapons, maces, and swords. All monks will get a passive ability of parry, letting them be able to parry an enemy melee attack. To tie into parrying, Swift Reflexes is a passive ability, and whenever you parry an attack, you'll reflexively strike back at the enemy for a small amount of damage. It has a 1-second cooldown, but is nice to see as it gives monks a different way of dealing a little bit of damage while tanking or even just getting smacked around as a DPS or healer. Tiger Strikes is a passive ability that monks have, giving them a 10% chance to gain Tiger Strikes whenever they auto-attack, increasing your attack speed by 50% and causing your next 4 auto-attacks to cause an extra attack to be given. The last passive ability I'll be going over is Way of the Monk. The monk will attune himself differently depending on the weapon type he chooses. If you choose to dual-wield one-handed weapons, your auto-attack damage will be increased by 40%. But instead, if you choose to use a two-handed weapon, your melee attack speed will be increased by 40%. Now to get to the abilities that you will actively be using. I'll be going in alphabetical order based on the way they're put in the spellbook. Blackout Kick is the first ability. It'll cost 2 chi, have a melee range requirement, and be instant. It'll kick with a blast of chi energy, dealing a medium amount of damage, and if the target is below 50% health, or at exactly 50% health, they will suffer an additional small amount of damage over 6 seconds. The next ability is Crackling Jade Lightning. The tooltip is bugged right now. It says 30 chi plus 30 per second, but it actually means 30 energy plus 30 per second. It has a 40-yard range and is channeled. It will channel Jade Lightning onto the target, dealing a moderate amount of nature damage over 6 seconds, which is affected by haste. It will deal damage and have a 15% chance to generate 1 chi every time it does. If an enemy attacks you within melee range while you're channeling it, they're knocked back a short distance, and that effect will have an 8-second cooldown, so it cannot be spammed whenever they're attacking you. The next ability is Detox. It has a 40-yard range, an 8-second cooldown, will cost 20 energy, and is an instant cast ability. It will eliminate elements from the friendly target, removing poison and disease effects. The cooldown will only come into play if it actually removes something though. As you can see, I'm spamming it right now, and not inducing the cooldown. This could be a bug, and it could be changed, so do not rely on the fact that it will not induce the cooldown if you do not dispel something. Be careful when dispelling, as always. The next ability is Disable. It has a 15 energy cost and is instant cast. It requires you to be in melee range and will reduce the target's movement speed by 50%. The duration of Disable will be refreshed as long as the target remains within 10 yards of the monk. And as long as the target already has a snare on them, they'll be rooted the next time it's cast on them, rooting them for 8 seconds. The next ability is Expel Harm. It costs 40 energy, has a 10-yard range, and a 15-second cooldown. It will heal you for a moderate amount, and cause 120% of what was healed to instantly be dealt as damage to a nearby enemy. It'll also generate 2 chi. Fortifying Brew is the next ability, and has no cost. It's an instant cast, but has a 3-minute cooldown. It'll turn your stone to skin, increasing your health by 20%, reducing damage taken by 20%, and will last for 20 seconds. You'll also grow slightly while under the effect of it, and have this black and white stone color, but that's only for flavor, and serves no real damage component reduction purposes. Grapple Weapon is the next ability. It has a 40-yard range with no cost, a 1-minute cooldown, and is instant cast. You'll fire off a rope spear, grappling the target's non-ranged weapons and shield, returning them to you for 10 seconds. If you steal a better main hand weapon, your damage or healing will be increased by 5%, or damage taken reduced by 5%. Besides Expel Harm, Healing Sphere is the only healing ability you'll have as a baseline monk. It will cost 60 energy, will have a targeting reticle on the ground, will have a 40-yard range, and you'll form a healing sphere out of healing mist at the target location, and it will last for 2 minutes. If allies walk through them, they will consume the sphere, healing themselves for about 15,000, which is a moderate amount of healing. A maximum of 3 spheres can be active by a monk at any given time. They will not heal, as you can see, if you are at full health and run through them though, which is very handy in a raid environment. As said before, Jab will change depending on the weapon you are wearing. It will cost 40 energy and have a melee yard range, be instant cast, and will deal a small amount of damage and generate 1 chi while it's at it. Legacy of the Emperor is the baseline ability that a monk would bring if you brought it to a raid. It has a 40-yard range and instant cast, and is pretty much Mark of the Wild or King's, increasing strength, agility, and intellect by 5%. Paralysis is a CC that a monk will bring to the table. It has a 20 energy cost, a melee range, and a 15-second cooldown. You'll cause the target's muscles to contract, incapacitating them for 30 seconds. However, if done behind the target, the duration is doubled. Only one target can be victim to it at a time, and any damage taken will cancel the effect. If you choose the talent Deadly Reach, this ability will have a 40-yard range. Path of Blossoms is the next ability. It has a 30 energy cost and is instant cast. You'll create a fire blossom at your feet every 1 second for 3 seconds, dealing a small amount of fire damage, and any enemy that will walk over it is what will trigger the damage. Fire blossoms cannot be created within 3 yards of an existing blossom. Provoke is the monk's version of Taunt. It has a 40-yard range and is instant cast. An 8-second cooldown, you'll mock the target, causing them to rush forward towards you at a 50% increased movement speed. If targeting your black ox statue, you'll provoke all enemies within an 8-yard radius of your statue to attack you. Resuscitate is the monk's ability to resurrect a player. It has a 100 energy cost and a 40-yard range, along with the usual about 10-second cast. You'll return the spirit to the body, restoring a dead target back to life with 35% of maximum health and mana. Cannot be cast when in combat. The next ability is Roll, and is pretty much a pretty iconic monk ability already. It is instant cast, and while having no cost, it will have a small time to recharge after you use it twice. Spear Hand Strike will be the monk's version of an interrupt. It has a 30 energy cost, instant cast, melee range, and a 25-second cooldown. You'll jab the target in the throat, interrupting the spell casting and preventing any spell in that school from being cast for 5 seconds. However, if the target is facing you when cast, they are also silenced out of all schools for 5 seconds. Spinning Crane Kick is your baseline AoE ability. You'll have 40 energy cost and is channeled. You'll spin while kicking in the air, dealing a small amount of damage every 1 second to all nearby enemies within 8 yards. Your movement speed is reduced by 30%. You'll generate 1 chi, and it will last for 3 seconds. During Spinning Crane Kick, you can continue to dodge and parry. Stance of the Fierce Tiger is the baseline stance you'll get, and is also used for DPSing. It will give you this fighting stance that you see here, will increase your damage done by 20%, and increase the amount of chi generated by your jab and expel harm abilities by 1, bringing them up to 2 chi generated. The next ability is Tiger Palm. It will cost 1 chi and have a melee range. Instant cast, you'll attack with the palm of your hand, dealing a high amount of damage and also granting you Tiger Power, increasing your ability to ignore enemies' armor by 5% and will stack up to 3 times, lasting for 15 seconds. Touch of Death is the next ability and is very powerful. With a 3 chi cost and a melee range and a 1.5 minute cooldown, you'll exploit the enemy target's weakest point, instantly killing them. Only usable on non-player targets, however, and you have to have equal or less health than you for it to be used on the target. The next abilities are Transcendence and Transcendence Transfer. Transcendence will split your body and your spirit, leaving your spirit behind for 15 minutes, as you can see here next to my character. This has a 45-second cooldown and no cost. When you use Transcendence Transfer, you'll swap locations with your spirit. This will, however, have a 15 energy cost and a 40-yard range, and a 25-second cooldown. It is, however, pretty handy to have. The last ability is Zen Meditation. It's a channeled ability with a 3-minute cooldown. You'll reduce all damage taken by 99%, and you'll redirect any harmful spells cast against party and raid members within 30 yards. This will last for 8 seconds, and being the victim of a melee attack will break the meditation, cancelling the effect. That's all for now. If you enjoyed, leave a comment below, thumbs up the video, and subscribe to my channel to see even more. I'll see you next time.